This is my 1996 Toyota Corolla. I've used it for a couple small videos here and there, but never actually done a video on the whole thing. So here it is in all of its glory. This car was originally built for the Gambler 500, and then I actually ended up daily driving this thing. I've owned it for almost 1 year. I bought it, it was actually my first purchase of 2024. Bought it at 7 a.m. on New Year's Day for 400 bucks. The car ran and I guess you could say drove, but definitely was not roadworthy. It had been sitting for, I think, 6 years, if I remember correctly. I had to start with tires first and then lots of electronics. I have been through this entire vehicle. Everything from rod bearings to fuel system, suspension, steering, brakes, pretty much everything you can think of, I've touched on this car. So it's got 206,000 miles and really isn't in that bad of condition. It has the 7A FE, which is the 1.8 liter version of the common engine that came in these, which most cars had the 1.6. This is a DX, so it has the larger engine and also pretty much every feature you could get on a Corolla, like power windows and locks and door mirrors and all that jazz. As you can see, some of the very obvious upgrades are we have a lift kit, which is a coil spacer lift kit, or sorry, a strut spacer lift kit, which I may be able to put a link to. A place in Russia actually makes those. And then we have a custom made tube bumper there on the front, and the roof rack and the winch. So the winch is definitely the most valuable thing to a Gambler 500 vehicle. A lot of times we're using like, you know, kind of cheap crap, and it's almost never four-wheel drive. So having a winch is extremely valuable, and then extra storage for the roof rack. So I use this thing for camping on Gamblers, and a lot of times we run out of room inside the vehicle, especially if I'm bringing more than one person, you know, so firewood, extra camping gear, stuff like that on top. And then we're running 2-inch wheel spacers. I tried 1 inch and it wasn't quite enough for the cool guy look, so ended up going with 2-inch spacers, and you can see it sets them out just perfect. They're not sticking out wild or anything, but just fine. We've got little rings here on the back, and what I put those for was just stashing extra gear, whether it's firewood or max tracks or whatever. You can see the roof rack here. Just kind of a quick throw together job from one of my buddies who's actually an awesome fab guy. And I said, hey man, we need a roof rack and a bumper for this thing. And he threw them together like way fast, in a couple hours. Bumper's pretty cool. It actually just uses the original hole that's already there, and then we just trimmed back the plastic so it can go straight to the frame, or sorry, the rad support. And then I added these 2 extra straps up here. They weren't completely necessary, but it does help with when you're pulling against it. All right, winch is a Badlands ZXR 3500. Perfect size for a car like this, and it does have the synthetic line upgrade, so a big extended reach over what would have come on at factory. And then up in the front, we've got those 4 LED pods, 2 flood and 2 spot. So that's and right here we've got a port for the winch. It just pretty much runs through right there, but that way you have easy access to it on the outside of the car. And I also have a winch switch mounted inside the vehicle, so you can get to it both ways. We'll hop in the back here just so it'll be a little bit easier to video, and I'll show you guys around here. So inside the car here, we've got the winch controls right there, and then in the center console, I don't know if you can guys see, I have an inverter right there. So right in front of the shifter, we've just got a little 150 watt trip light inverter. Sometimes I'll run like a heating pad or something like that inside the vehicle if we're doing a super long trip. And then really there's not a whole lot of other stuff going on inside the car. Obviously we've got a phone mount there. This is the DX model, so we've got a tack on the Gage cluster. But yeah, it's really pretty much it for in here. No headliner. And there you can see the mounts for the roof rack. Just straight to the roof. Nothing special going on inside the trunk. I thought about doing a hidden winch mount and maybe coming through the bumper here. A couple people have done that, and that's a pretty cool way to get 2 winches on your vehicle, but never ended up doing that. And then we just have some goofy exhaust, just a muffler delete for a little bit of silliness. So this 1.8 engine has made noise ever since I've got it. And it's a weird noise. I thought it was rod knock at first. And so I pulled the engine apart to check the rod bearings, and yeah, it wasn't rod knock. Let me start it up so you guys can hear it. Yeah, just a odd tapping noise. Doesn't quite sound like rod knock, but I didn't really know what else to look for because it's an odd noise. But yeah, it has made that noise since I've bought it. And it is not rod knock. The rod bearings look great whenever I pulled it apart, but I already had it apart, so I decided to go ahead and swap them out. And they replaced a few gaskets while I was in there. I did check the valve clearance. And if I remember, cylinder number 1 was maybe 0.02 loose. Or a looser tolerance, and the rest were fine. So I really have no idea what that sound is. I've checked all the torque converter bolts and pretty much all the normal things you can think of. It has a completely new timing set, new oil pump, all new pulleys and belts. You got me, I have no idea what that is. It never gets any worse, never gets any better, and I've been driving it this way for a year. Under the hood, it's all pretty basic, nothing really cool to see. Just some winch wiring and light wiring. I did have to put a factory intake back on it because it had one of those stupid eBay cold air intake kits, which is just a hot air intake. It made all kinds of noise. You can see there's 2 resonators, one there and one there on this intake tube. And those definitely need to be there. Those are a must on this engine. It makes so much noise. It was just terrible having that thing on there. But this little car gets pretty much the same fuel economy no matter what I'm doing. I get 40 miles per gallon in this car. Whether I'm in stop and go traffic, driving on the highway, picking the kids up from school, it really doesn't seem to matter. I will tell you, it has awful power. I think this may be the lean burn engine. I don't exactly know how to identify those, but I know that Toyota made a lean burn 1.6 and a 1.8. So maybe that's why this thing is so dang slow and gets amazing fuel economy. But yeah, that is that's pretty much it. I've got quite a laundry list of all the things I've done to it. I tend to go a little bit overboard with my gambler cars. Usually end up working them over from top to bottom. This thing has a ton of money in it, just in little parts and things like that. But it is gonna go away, so I figured I would go ahead and do a video on it before it does. It's gonna go to the Gambler 500 Keyswap, which is happening this weekend, where we all show up in our Gambler cars and kind of do one of those Christmas gift swap exchange things. So instead of presents, we are swapping cars and titles. It's pretty wild, but hopefully we'll end up with something at least comparable, because I would like to have another kind of goofy daily driver if possible. If I end up with crap, then we'll just stick it in the backyard and save it for another gambler. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about the build or about the car or about the Gambler 500, put them in the comments. Thanks for watching.